Hey everybody, welcome to another video review. This time I'm going to be doing a statue. This is a roughly 1/6 scale statue of a predator sculpted by the great Narin and painted by the one and only Dunaway. Got this piece in a couple days ago. There's a lot to unpack on this piece, like with all of the Dunaway Narin collaborations. So a little bit of history while I just sort of slowly turn her around. So the first thing is, I'm a really big fan of Narin and Dunaway in general. Those of you who are subscribed to my channel or follow my channel know that I have a lot of pieces that I've done reviews of. Just really like Narin's vision. I can't believe it's been so long. It's been, I think, over 20 years. So Narin himself is getting old. He has family, young family that's maybe growing up now. We've all grown old together over all these years, all these decades. But I've always been a really big fan of Narin's work. I collect a lot of his stuff. Not quite as much, I guess, lately. He still, puts out stuff once in a while, but I've been a little bit behind. And sometimes, I have to admit that some of his, pieces, especially to someone like myself who has bought and owned so many of them, seems to lack a little bit in what I feel is creativity in a sense, because I have so many of his stuff that I always kind of see the similarities. I have another predator with the Captain Morgan pose and like a big axe or a big spear. It doesn't quite do it for me as much, but I'm a big fan still. And there was like only one exception, which was that when I was had the opportunity to buy a lot of these pieces, I just didn't really love the whole female predator concept. I kind of jokingly call it predator with tits, right? Predator with boobs, predator with breasts. I didn't like sort of the juxtaposition of this alien, this alien head with the mouth, the fangs and all of that. And I didn't like that sort of, on top of a female body, right? Kind of looks like, breast implant, boobs essentially, which was how Narin sculpted them. And so I kind of avoided the female Narin predator kits for a while. They just weren't really to my taste. The one exception is this piece called Sheila, I think. And I have to look back in my own records to see if I've ever done a video review of that. But the reason I bought her was because the mask didn't come off. And so, you had the mask on and, that was acceptable to me. Of course, now in retrospect, I guess you could say I kind of regret my decision, because there are some of those pieces that are really awesome, and they're now almost impossible to get even in recast form. There's just one particular one of her, I think, stabbing an alien with a big, spear or sword. I think with a big sword. It's like the queen, right? She's almost like the queen predator. I would have really loved to get her now in retrospect. But, there it is. So my initial sort of bias against predators with breasts caused me a little bit to lose out. But the reason this piece is in front of me is because I had an opportunity many, many years ago to buy quite a few kits. They're pretty rare. And I did so. And I think that as part of the deal, she was actually almost thrown in. Definitely, if I did pay for her, it was very cheap, not more than maybe $100. And So, at the time, again, I wasn't exactly going out of my way to get female Predator kits from, that are sculpted by Narin. But when it was thrown in for such a cheap price, I was like, I got nothing to lose. I was like, that's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it, So just imagine back in those days, this is one of Narin's much earlier sculpts. And so he had not yet, kind of put together the very sort of well-known peach-colored, resin that kind of marks a kit as an original. So this was again from probably for another, Thai company. And I took a look, and so she was all cast in just white resin. And when it's all white, you don't really appreciate too much of the detail. You're just like, okay. So I just kind of threw all of the parts together. I checked to make sure that they all kind of, all the parts were there. And then I just kind of threw them in a box and put them out of the way. I knew that the base was kind of cool. And I knew that there was a Cyclops there, obviously. But again, it was all white. White resin, not much detail. So I put it away. So fast forward a couple years later, I'm having Joe do some, pieces. And I'm just trying to kind of think of something for Joe to do that might be a little bit more interesting for him because, he's so good at what he does and he's so famous that, it's almost like if you're a Predator collector or a Predator fan or a Predator aficionado, your collection can't be complete without Joe doing like a Death Warrior or a Hellbreed or something like that. So that's almost like a requirement if you're going to call yourself a Predator collector these days. So he's always swamped painting kind of the same thing, and he's such a creative genius that he puts his little spin on every single say Death Warrior. They're all like a little bit different, a little bit customized. It's kind of what makes his work so unique and so special. And so I always try to find something where, I'm also of course asking him to build my latest stuff. But every once in a while, I like to try to, do something for him in a sense to kind of get his creative juices flowing and to break up the monotony of doing the more commercial ones where, all these big time Predator collectors are asking him to do the same Narin kits. So in this case, I decided to, ask him, hey, why don't you build up this for me? I don't know really much about it. It's just a female Predator. It's got a Cyclops for a base. And it doesn't look like much, so I honestly didn't have many expectations. So I just said, I'll pay you whatever you think is, fair, and just go wild and see what you can give me. And I'm just kind of in all of this piece because you have no idea how just plain looking, the actual kit was when I got it and I sent it to him. It was just so basic, and then he comes back with this just jaw-dropping, amazing build-up. You want to talk about putting, lipstick on a pig. Joe basically transformed that pig into like a princess or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just wild. And again, not to say that Narin did a bad job or anything like that. I'm just saying that, this was an older kit with none of the intricacies that he would put out later on. This is, like I said, you can tell that this is from earlier. What's the pose of the Predator is pretty stiff. You have this kind of, Captain Morgan, one leg up pose. The arms seem a little bit stiff. And when I saw her, she was pretty basic. She had like the spear, and then, you had this sort of base at the very bottom. And this is, somewhat similar to some of the other older works like the Savage Warrior, where it showed, the Predator kind of crushing a goblin, let's just say, right? But after this, you take a look at what Joe did with it for all of that detail. Just brought that piece to life and made it so, phenomenal. And so let's just start off with sort of the base, which I think kind of steals the show. this is like a dead Cyclops, one of the victims that the she-predator kind of defeats. So here, you have, of course, the normal gray rock, which is very common in some of Narin's earlier pieces. Again, unfortunately, the good news, guys, is that this is a 4K video. The bad news is if I zoom too close, you can see that we immediately lose focus. It's almost like the 4K camera on my iPhone 15 Plus still is not able to properly go super macro. So this is about the best I can give you in terms of the detail. But you can see how, again, the regular, when I first got it, it's just all white cast resin. You can't see anything. And then I hope that you can look at all of the, wonderful detailing of the rock that Joe brought out with his paint. Just absolutely beautiful. You can see all the texturing, all the little tiny cracks. It just looks really, really good. And that's something that, you take for granted, obviously, with the base. But even like this basic sort of paint is actually pretty incredible to see. I'm going to definitely myself even enjoy looking at it when I go back to review it. One of the things about getting old as you start hitting your late 40s, early 50s is you start needing progressive or bifocals yourself. And so, it's difficult to actually catch some of the beautiful detail even with the naked eye. But there you have it. I'm hoping that my camera captures it. Here you can see the blood coming from the body and just dripping onto the rock, which is a very nice touch. And then let's just take a moment to appreciate sort of the wonderful shades and textures and different colors of the back of that Cyclops. You can kind of see all of this, the little tiny hint of green. It's almost like the back of a cave troll. You can see all of the wrinkles and textures here, all of the little horns and bones jutting out. And then you can see sort of the strap. It's almost like it's almost metallic leather, his tunic. And then you can see the armor right here and the incredible detail of this bony skull that's attached to the shoulder plate. Look at all the weathering, the scratches, and of course the fine detail of the bone and the skeleton, and then the suture line down the middle. Just absolutely incredible stuff. I don't remember whether this was even part of the kit or he added it. I think it was part of the original sculpt. But there you go, right? Really, really stunning. And then again, trying to back a little bit so look at it from a bird's eye view. Take a look at the painting of the ears, the shadows. Again, sort of the mottled coloring of the back. Just sort of back away just enough to give you all of that detail. Look again at the manacles right here. And then check out the detail of the nails, the fingers. Now, Narin actually did put quite a bit of texture and detail on this, and then Joe just brought all of that out with his paint. You can see a little bit of the gloss on the nails. Just absolutely beautiful. And here it kind of, it always reminds you of barnacles, right? The barnacles on the back of sea creatures. I can't give you all of the different shots. You can see the veining right over here. Pretty awesome. That's part of the problem with having a phone is you can't really get everything. And then if I zoom in, I'll lose the 4K detail. And of course, look at this face. Absolutely stunning. The eyes all glossed over. Incredible. It almost looks like a real, like glass eye. And then look at the teeth. Look at the color of the eye, beautifully done. I think this gives you the maximum clarity, and you can actually see the glistening on the rock, which is like, the drool kind of sliding from his mouth all the way down. I mean, that part is all Joe. You know, like the basic sculpt is from Narin, but Joe's the one who kind of brings out all of that extra detail. He adds everything, he customizes things. He tells a story, like, you know, Narin tells a story with his piece, and then Joe kind of adds to it and tells his own story as well. They're like, you know, partner storytellers. And it's always such a magnificent pairing when you see that. So there you have it. There's the dead Cyclops on the base. I hope I've done it justice, giving you a nice rotation so you can kind of appreciate it in all of its glory. And now take a look at the addition. This is, you know, again, customization from Joe. The chain across the armor right here. Really, really nice. Look at the clean lines, the beautiful weathering. You can see the paint of the feet. Again, the modeling of the patterns like a snake. And then of course the nail. I wish I could go a little bit closer to show you, you know, the detail of it, but this will have to do, again, if I go a little bit too close, it starts blurring up. So right here is the optimum length. And then look at how good the gunmetal armor is. Again, the skin, you can see the veining and the depth. Here's a spear. I'll try to maybe show you a little bit more here, but here's the spear, and he added all of this. And then the different parts of the armor. So this is not really metal, but bony armor right here. It's like bone and metal texture with the rivets. And then take a look at this skull that she's wearing as a trophy. I mean, that's just crazy looking. Right here. I have no idea how he does this, but that just looks so, so good. And then trying to, again, give you an appreciation of the armor. The juxtaposition of like the bone texture of the armor right here, check it out. So this is the other foot. Just appreciate how amazing this paint job is. And then, so it's like the bony armor versus more of a gunmetal armor up top. And then, of course, in contrast, the actual skin, the veining, the depth of the skin. So here is the buttocks. So I guess back then, I mean, Narin did sculpt this, you know, with kind of a more feminine shape, right? More feminine contours in mind. Here's the back. And these hoses were, of course, added by Joe here and here, customed. Look at the gauntlets. Look at the garnets here. That's all added on, I'm sure. Just customized. Here's more. Look at the detailing of all the different colors. All of this stuff. Like, you can't see any of this stuff, you know, when you first get it. All of that is just kind of brought out by the paint job. The details of the armor, and then again, beautiful skull right here. Right there, here, right over here, and then the suture lines. And then you have her body, again, the texturing of the snake, the modeling of the little spots. Just try my best to show everything without getting it too blurry. You have to back up constantly. And of course, Joe adds all of the quills. You can see the quills here on the arms, right there. quills right over here. He knows I like chains, I like quills, so he always goes the extra mile to add a whole bunch of those for me. And of course the classic tubing that connects everything. This shoulder cannon was completely customized and added by Joe. The original kit did not have this at all. Look at how complicated it looks with all the different tubing, all of that detail. Absolutely beautiful. Look at the necklace of teeth. And then again, all the tiny little textures and details and paints to bring everything out. More quills on the crown. Beautiful spotting pattern. And then with the dreads, you know, every one of these, he kind of painted the jewelry on the dreads individually. And then he shaded it down to like no red tips. Again, to kind of give it that contrast. Look at the sort of like, what is this, like the lettering on the sides? Maybe it's the language of the predators. Again, I really love the necklace, the decoration, all the different beaded necklaces she's wearing. And of course, it's really hard to showcase this, but just the paint of the mouth, the fangs, all of that. Her eyes. Look at all those quills that are placed on both sides. So of course she made it, perfectly. It was meticulously packaged. So yeah. I mean, Joe took a piece that I thought was very, very plain, and then through his, incredible attention to detail and his, effort to add more customized components, has just kind of told a wonderful story of this triumphant she-predator over the Cyclops that she's brought down, another prey, right? The hunter over her prey. So I'm gonna try to get this view and this distance. They're just gonna turn her around so you have a chance to admire everything about this paint. This is an example where Joe really elevated, the subject matter. And I'm gonna kind of move down a little bit and then continue to turn around so we can get a chance to see, again, all of that depth. That's the thing that he does the best. He just creates so much depth with his paint. Moving down again. Just trying to turn the piece around, give you an opportunity to look at and appreciate the paint job from all different angles, all different depths, and then all the way down here. Just turning around, slowly moving up, so you can see all of that. I think I can get about this close before I start losing focus. Trying to push it as close as I can. I think this is about as close as I can before it starts blurring. There you go. There you go. Absolutely phenomenal paint job, so stunning. And then really moving back so you can kind of see the overall pose, the overall picture. I mean, it's all good, but I still think the best part of this is probably the base. But the thing is, if you want to see the base like this, you have to see the predator from the side, which is not very good. So it's kind of a shame that, when you see her the way she's supposed to, which is right up front, you don't see the actual, ogre himself. So that is kind of disappointing. I just have to kind of decide for myself how I'm going to properly display her. I mean, in reality, you have to display her pretty much like this. So hopefully that you can still see a bit of, the ogre's head. But in reality, full on view like this, you're not going to really see much of anything. So you kind of want to do that if you can. So anyways, continue to kind of turn things around. Yeah, she's only my second Narin female predator. So that's it, guys. I hope that was worth the wait for Herku and Suni. Try to maybe do a few more predator pieces before moving on. Reward him for his patience and all that. But yeah, there you go. I don't know what name Joe came up with. Sometimes he gets inspired. He comes with like a really cool name for the paint job. And I think for this one, the best he could come up with was basically like a she predator, over an ogre or something like that. But that's okay. You don't need a great title when you have a paint job like this. There you go, trying to get just one last shot of the face. Come on, there you go. I'm doing this for myself too, so later on I can enjoy it with the proper lighting. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Another masterpiece from Narin and Joe Dunaway. Until next time, do take care.